Hey everyone, it's Stephanie here with a video from My Favorite Things. Today's video is going to feature this Hog Heaven stamp set. This is part of the June release that we are currently in the middle of the countdown for, and I created a card using this stamp set and posted it on my blog today, and it featured the stamp set along with the striped sentiment strip cover-up. And what I did is I created a vellum window card, and I had a couple questions about how I created it, so I thought it would be fun to do a quick video here and kind of show you what I did and how I created that card. So it's just kind of like a little bonus MFT video here for you on this beautiful Saturday where I am. I hope it's beautiful where you are as well. So let's get into the video and I'm going to go through how I created the card. So I'm just going to stamp my images first. I'm just using my mini MISTI so that I can stamp the images all together at once and save a little bit of time. And I'm stamping them with the black licorice hybrid ink, and that's because I'm going to be using Copic markers to color in the images. So I want to use an ink that's not going to bleed or run when I'm using those markers. So I stamped all three images right onto this piece of smooth white cardstock, and I'm just going to remove it from my MISTI and go ahead and color the images. Now you can color these with whatever you prefer. If you have colored pencils or any type of marker or even distress inks, because they are kind of all solid and there's not a lot of detail in the images that I'm using. You could definitely use an ink blending tool and some pink inks and just kind of use that to color in your pig. So whatever you have works, but I am going to use Copics here. I'm using some lighter colors. You can see the colors that I'm using up on the screen there. And I'm not being careful to stay in the lines because I'm not going to use the coordinating dies to cut out these images. I'm going to cut them out by hand so that I don't have a white border around them. I want them to just be cut right on the inked line. So to do the pigs here, I completely saturated them with my lightest color, and now I'm going in with my darkest color and kind of just adding some darker areas where I feel like the shadows and the shading might be. And then I'm using my medium color to kind of blend that into the lighter color, and then taking the lighter color once again to kind of even everything out and fully saturate that pig. Now these are very light R colors, so if you are planning to use the dyes and you do want to stay in the lines and you're not being as messy as I am, you just want to be careful with these colors because they do tend to bleed a little bit more because they are lighter colors. Any type of lighter Copic color tends to bleed more than any of the darker ones. So just keep that in mind when you are coloring your image. So now that I have all the pink done, I went ahead and jumped into the heart here. I'm using some aqua colors to color the heart. I thought it would be fun to kind of go away from the norm, and rather than use a red heart, I decided to go with the aqua. I just thought it looked really good with the pink on the pigs as well as the pink that we're going to use in the card base. So I finished that. I finished his little nose area. And then I'm just going onto the fence here. I wanted my fence to be white in the image, so I'm just using some cool gray markers, and I'm coloring in parts of the fence to kind of give it a little bit of shadow and give it a little bit of dimension, just because when you leave an image completely white and don't add any color, it looks a little bit less flat, or looks more flat, sorry, but using the gray markers helps to add some dimension to that fence. So I also added some color down at the bottom for the grass, and now I'm just taking my scissors, like I said before, and I'm going to cut out these pigs. Now, this little guy does lose his tail in the process, so he ends up being a pig with no tail, or at least not one that you can see. It was definitely too difficult for me to try and cut that out. And I thought of it after while I was looking at the video doing the voiceover, that I could have stamped him again kind of on the side of the fence where I end up positioning him at the end so that I could see the little tail on the fence, but I didn't think of it, but you could definitely do that. So now we're going to move on to the fun part of the card, which is the vellum window that we're going to create on the front. So I've went ahead and cut two of the striped sentiment strip cover-ups from white cardstock. I've also cut a piece of vellum that's cut slightly smaller than the two sentiment strip cover-ups that I've cut. And now I'm taking the Blueprints 24 Dynamics and using that stitched rectangle because I need to cut out an opening from the front of my card base. And I need that opening to be slightly smaller than the sentiment strip cover up that we're going to put on the front, but I need it to be big enough that it's going to have a little bit of area where we can glue that cover up onto. So you just kind of got to look around, see what you have, and make sure that the shape is going to work for the card design. And I just went ahead and cut that out. You can see there. I scored my card first, so I knew exactly how big my card front was, and then I positioned it onto the card, cut it out with my die cut machine, and now I have this great big rectangle opening on the card front. So now we can start to assemble everything together to make the cool vellum window that we're going to be able to kind of see through to the inside of the card. And it just adds a little bit of unexpected detail to your card, just because you don't expect that you're going to be able to have that window there. So to create the card now, to create the window, I just went ahead and added some liquid adhesive to the back of this cover up that I've cut out here. And you just want to make sure to add adhesive to all the little strips so that the vellum fully adheres to it. And now I have that vellum piece adhered to the back. So now that the window's ready to go, it needs to be adhered to the card front. So I'm going to take that same glue pen, but this time rather than put the adhesive on the whole thing, I'm just going to go around the edges of this cover up and add the adhesive on there. And that's going to allow me to adhere this panel directly over that big opening, because we have the adhesive on the edges, which is going to adhere to the cardstock area on the inside of that rectangle piece there. So I'm just going to push this down really well. You want to make sure it's really adhered down before you move on. And then once I have that on and I know everything is good to go, it's not going to move anywhere, I'm going to flip this over, and you can see now on the inside, you can kind of see the inside area, and it kind of looks a little bit messy. It's not as finished looking as the front. So to cover this up, we're just going to add another of the striped sentiment strip cover-ups to the inside of the card. So this time I'm adding the adhesive to all of the strips once again, because when we put this one on, we're going to line it up perfectly over top of the one that's in the front of the card. So you're not going to see the adhesive once they're sandwiched together. But this is going to make our card front really strong, and it's going to make it so that you can fold it over and you're not going to have any problems with the top area kind of bending. So I like to flip it over and fold it over from the back area, and then I just take my bone folder and really press down on this and really kind of run it back and forth with some good pressure to make sure that I have that fold really, really well. And then that's going to allow the card to open and close easily with no problems. And you have this great window panel that's completely unexpected and super fun. So now that the front is all finished, we can go ahead and finish assembling the little pigs and the fence onto the card front. So I'm just using that same liquid glue pen, and I've put some glue onto both of the little pigs, and I'm adhering them onto the fence. I kind of positioned the guy there with the heart over to the side, and then the little guy that I'm doing here is the pig that kind of looks like he's peeking over the fence. I think he's so cute, and I just love him kind of peeking over the fence at the guy with the heart. I just think it's an adorable little image. So I'm going to put a little bit of Copic marker underneath where this is going to go on the card front. I'm using some warm grays here, and this is just adding a little bit of a shadow underneath of that fence so it doesn't look like they're kind of floating in space. And then I'm just using a lighter color here now, same warm gray, just a lighter one, and I'm kind of going over top of the darker one to even it out and kind of let it fade off a little bit so it's not so in your face and dramatic. So now that I have that all finished, I can go ahead and adhere the little guys over top. So I'm just using my tape runner to do that and just adding adhesive to the back. Now when you open the card, you will see the back of these little guys through the vellum windows that we've created. That doesn't bother me. It's kind of limited. You don't see a whole lot, but you do see a little, so keep that in mind. If you don't like that look, you may want to put some die cut pigs at the back of the panel as well. And then to finish it off, I'm just adding some sequins and a little bit of black gel pen to their eyes, and that's going to complete the card. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.